All right, let's dive right into a question that might just shake up how you see yourself in the stars. Today, we're unpacking the fascinating puzzle of the two major zodiac systems and why they don't always agree. So let me ask you straight up, are you sure you know your zodiac sign? You might have spent your whole life thinking you're a classic fiery Leo or super determined Scorpio. But what if I told you there's a really good chance, a huge chance actually, that you've been reading the wrong horoscope this entire time? Okay, so check this out. The tropical zodiac, which is what most people in the West use, has completely different date ranges than the sidereal or Vedic zodiac. For example, if your birthday is August 10th, Western astrology says, yep, you're a Leo. But in the Vedic system, nope, you're a Cancer. And this isn't some tiny little quirk. It actually affects about 80% of people. So what in the world is going on here?
To get to the bottom of this, we have to realize we're all looking at the same sky, but we're using two totally different maps to read it. So let's break down these two great celestial systems. First off, the basics. Both systems are looking at the exact same thing, the zodiac. Just picture this celestial highway, this 16-degree wide belt up in the sky. From where we stand on Earth, it looks like the sun, the moon, and all the planets are just cruising along this one path, passing through the constellations. Everybody agrees on that. The big disagreement is all about where you put the starting line.
So the tropical zodiac, the Western one, is really the zodiac of the seasons. It anchors its starting point, what it calls 0 degrees Aries, to a very specific moment in time, the vernal equinox. That's the first day of spring. It's all about Earth's relationship to the sun. You could say it's tied to the rhythm of our own planet.
And then you've got the sidereal or Vedic zodiac. This one is the zodiac of the stars. It basically ignores the seasons, and instead it anchors its starting point to the fixed, unmoving background of the constellations themselves. Its starting line for Aries is lined up with an actual star in the constellation of Aries. It's tied to the wider cosmos. So you have two different starting points, one tied to the seasons, the other to the stars. And this, right here, is where the real story begins. Because these two systems, these two cosmic clocks that were once set to the same time, have been slowly drifting apart for centuries.
If you could travel back in time to around the year 285 AD, you'd find that both zodiacs were perfectly aligned. The first day of spring, the vernal equinox, happened at the exact moment the sun was entering the constellation of Aries. It was a perfect match. But today, well, as you can see, those starting points have drifted way apart. A really big gap has opened up between them.
So just how big is that gap? Right now, it's about 24 degrees. Now, since each zodiac sign takes up 30 degrees of the sky, that's almost an entire sign off. This is the reason your sign might be different. In Vedic astrology, this gap actually has a name. It's called the Ayanamsa. It's the measurement of this ever-growing celestial drift.
And this drift is happening at a snail's pace. It takes a full 72 years for that gap to grow by just one single degree. It's this relentless, almost invisible motion that's been building up for nearly 2,000 years. But the big question is, what's causing it? The reason for this whole cosmic mix-up isn't because one system is wrong and the other is right. The cause is actually this beautiful, massive wobble in the Earth itself. Let's get into it.
So first, a super quick refresher on the equinox. It's not a place, it's an event. It's that moment when the sun crosses the celestial equator, giving us a day and night of nearly equal length. The tropical zodiac locks its starting line to this event, no matter where in the sky it happens to be taking place. And here's the kicker. The Earth isn't spinning perfectly upright like a globe on a desk. It actually has a tiny wobble, kind of like a spinning top when it starts to slow down. This wobble is huge. It takes 26,000 years to complete one cycle, and it's called the precession of the equinoxes. Because of this wobble, the exact spot in the background stars where spring begins actually shifts backward, very, very slowly, year after year.
And this timeline really shows you the effect of that wobble over thousands of years. Back around 1000 BC, the first day of spring happened when the sun was in front of the star cluster Critica. Because of this wobble, by 520 AD, it had already moved backward to another cluster, Ashwini. And today, the spring equinox actually happens when the sun is in Uttara Bhadrapada, which is in the constellation Pisces. You know when people talk about the age of Aquarius? Well, this wobble is exactly what they're talking about. But okay, just when you think you've got it figured out, here comes a fascinating historical twist that kind of messes with the simple East versus West story. There's some compelling research suggesting the original Vedic system might have been a lot more like the tropical one than we realize.
Let's look at the work of this brilliant Indian astronomer named Varaha Mihira from around 520 AD. Now, in his day, the traditional starting point of the zodiac was a star cluster called Kritika, but Varaha Mihira actually updated the starting point to a different one, Ashwini. And researchers ask, why on earth would he do that? The only thing that makes sense is that he was chasing the vernal equinox, which had wobbled its way into Ashwini by his time. The implication here is pretty huge. It suggests that for these ancient astronomers, the real anchor was always the thing they could see and measure, the astronomical event of spring's arrival, not some random star in the sky. The whole idea of a fixed, sidereal zodiac might have only become popular much later, after the knowledge of this precession was lost for a while.
This ancient complexity, this debate, has followed us all the way into the 21st century. I mean, trying to calculate planetary positions today, especially in the sidereal system, with all its intricate layers like divisional charts, which are like harmonic subcharts that add all this incredible detail, it takes some serious computational power.
So how does anybody, from astrologers to just curious enthusiasts, manage all of this insane detail without spending days on manual calculations? I mean, even the ancients knew that doing it all by hand could lead to big mistakes.
Well, the answer, not surprisingly, is technology. Modern platforms are amazing because they combine the best of both worlds. They use NASA-level astronomical data for pinpoint accuracy in the calculations, but then they interpret all that data using specialized AI that's been trained on the classical text. It allows for a level of depth and precision that used to take a lifetime to master.
And this really highlights a super important point. A general AI like ChatGPT is incredible at language, but it can't actually do the complex astronomical math needed to generate a chart in the first place. Specialized astrology software, on the other hand, is built from the ground up to do the calculations, run the analysis, and interpret everything based on the very specific, very complex rules of these ancient systems.
So, as we wrap this up, let's bring it back to the big idea. The difference between these two zodiacs, at its heart, isn't about one being right and the other wrong. It's a really profound philosophical choice. It's a choice of what to anchor our cosmic map to. Do we orient ourselves by the living, changing seasons of our home planet, or do we measure ourselves against the vast, seemingly eternal backdrop of the distant stars?
And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Maybe the most important question isn't which sign am I really, but rather which cosmic story speaks to me. Are you fundamentally a creature of Earth's rhythms, tied to its changing seasons? Or do you see yourself as a citizen of the wider cosmos, measured against the silent ancient stars? The perspective? Well, that's up to you.